To the stream, we're playing Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. I'm very tired, so it's probably gonna be like a shorter stream today. Like, I'll probably stream to like 4:30. The reason I'm late is because I was watching the Dan Dory Invitational, which I just think that as a concept goes crazy. Fucking Mars lost by 1 point, but that's a real Dan Dory issue. Anyway, we're playing Great Ace Attorney today. Oh wait, I forgot I have a controller. That means I can sit back and just look at this. Please excuse my little outburst. I briefly lost my composure. Most unbecoming behavior of an English gentlewoman. Forgive me. Oh, I need to tweet out the stream. Well, Miss Pratt, I think it's time you told the court what actually happened that day. The truth this time. No! Fuck you! No, I wouldn't admit to it, even if it... It was I who took the professor's life using Quran. As you surmised, I chose that particular day for one very important reason. The professor had a dental appointment for the extraction of one of his teeth. So you planned to kill the professor knowing that no trace of poison would be found in his water because curare is unheard of here in Japan. Yes, of course, I never intended to remain at the restaurant for as long as I did. I only needed to see the professor take one tiny sip of his water and it would all be over. I would place the steak I had ordered in front of him and make it appear as though I'd be dining alone and leave immediately. However, before any of that happened, there's an unexpected visitor at the professor's table. Such a trifling matter, but the fact that you decided to come over to greet the professor meant that I had lost my chance to slip away unnoticed. Damn, Al. In due course, the professor took a sip of his water and was paralyzed. I was made sure he was sitting in his chair such that he wouldn't fall. There's no going back at that point, so I concocted a plan on the spur of the moment. A plan to pin Dr. Wilson's murder on this innocent man. I happen to know that the professor always carried a gun, and so he used that back to my advantage. I bottle of Cure in my handbag and my own pistol concealed under my skirt. So I was right, there were 2 guns. Yes. And then I finished my coffee and got up to leave. That's when I noticed the professor's gun, which he had presumably placed on the floor. Please, were you sure that I would notice it? And everything went according to plan. You noticed the gun as I had intended. And then just as you bent down to pick it up, that's when you shot the professor with your own gun, even though at that point he was already dead. Naturally, the gunshot caused a commotion, at which point the waiter appeared. Obviously, I assumed Naruhodo-san was the culprit and apprehended him. I took him to the pantry that adjoins the kitchen and locked him inside. That's when I took the opportunity to turn the professor in his chair around. Because, of course, he made it look like the defendant had shot Dr. Wilson from where he picked up the gun. So there you have it. That is the entirety of my misdemeanor. Misdemeanor? Your Excellency, I wonder, might I speak with you in private later? I shall call on you. Yeah, once you're in jail. Thank you. Good day then, everyone. I hope you can forgive me, Naruhodo-san. What? Are you just getting away scot-free? No, put her in jail. She literally just admitted to murder. It would seem this trial has finally run its course. I presume the prosecution is in agreement. This can't be. Tatsuguchi Archie does not lose. Not to the likes of this rookie student. You'd better start getting used to tough opposition. Ryunosuke Naruhodo! This insult to the Archie family name will never be forgotten! You've become coincided with age council. But the old have to stand aside and make way for the new. It's the way of the world. May you never forget that! What? You cut his toupee off? 1,000 millennia may pass, and still the Archie clan will never measure up to the Naruhodo clan. This trial in the Supreme Court of Japan will, I believe, go down in history as the start of the new chapter in our country's judicial system. Despite being summoned as the accused, you, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, presented an excellent case. The use of evidence and deduction to unravel the truth is a modern methodology. It has only been a few short decades since our country opened its doors to the wider world, but the Western ideas of science are rapidly gaining acceptance here. I feel sure that science will surely bring new methods of investigation. A new future of law awaits, but what will it look like, I cannot begin to imagine. That is for the young to pursue. Kazuma Asogi. After this trial, you are set to embark on the journey of discovery to the illustrious British Empire. Learn all you can, absorb everything of the wider world that you are able to, and do not forget to fulfill the mission imposed upon you. I understand, Your Excellency. What was that about? Why do you look so grave all of a sudden? Ah, never mind. As for you, Ryunosuke, in you I said unusual potential. Every much look forward. Oh, I very much look forward to seeing how you carry that onwards. Thank you, Your Excellency. It is time to deliver the final verdict. I hereby find the defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, not guilty. This court is now adjourned. I can't believe it. I can't believe what's happened. I made it. I defended myself and made it through that horrendous trial. Ryunosuke, you finally pulled it off. Congratulations. Well, I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you, Kazuma. Ha ha ha. No, it was a pleasure to watch you at work. So you owe me an extra large sukiyaki from the place on Yume University Street. Good afternoon. All your hard work has certainly paid off. Congratulations to both of you for proving Naruhodo-san's innocence. Ah, trusty judicial assistant. You worked hard for that result too, you know. Oh no, I didn't do anything. Thank you so much. If we hadn't had that research report of Miss Bratz, I don't know how things would have turned out. Your kind words should really be for my father. I was simply doing as he asked. It was his idea for me to go to the university and investigate. Speaking of Mikotoba... Oh, there you are. I believe congratulations are in order. Naruhodo, you did an excellent job. Thank you, Professor. Oh no, it is I who should be thanking you. After all, your efforts exposed the true criminal that took the life of my good friend. Oh yeah, you mentioned that before. It was you who actually invited Dr. Wilson to Yume University. Yes, that's right. Professor Mikotoba was studying overseas himself. He went to study for forensic medicine in Great Britain. Presumably that's when you met Dr. Wilson. Exactly. In those days, we worked together in the same hospital. Oh, you worked together? I never heard you mention that before. Well, it was a long time ago now. Besides, it's your turn, Asogi. Great Britain is a magnificent country. It leads the world in science, medicine, engineering, culture, and of course in law. Watch and learn, my boy. See what's happening in the world's largest melting pot. I will learn all I can. I swear on this, in the spirit of the Asogi clan. You're not taking that sword to Great Britain, are you? Of course I am. A Japanese man's katana is his soul. The blade shows me where I need to go. It cuts down anything that's in my way. Yes, I've definitely seen how sharply it is with my own eyes. That reminds me, what's happened to the woman? To Jezebel Brat, I mean. After all, she's guilty of murder. Ah, yes, her. It's not easy to tell you this, but... surely she's going to face trial herself now. She's the true culprit, after all. She will be leaving Japan in the very near future for Shanghai. What? Shanghai? Jezebel Brat will not appear in court again in this country. I'm certain of that. It's a matter of consular jurisdiction. Inspector Hosonaga. It was a hard-fought battle in the courtroom today. Very impressive to watch. I must congratulate... What's all this about consular jurisdiction? We cannot try this particular foreigner for crimes here in Japan. A British consular court will hear your case, somewhere far away where our voices can't be heard. I simply don't understand. I thought consular courts were a thing of the past since we signed the Friendship Treaty. Yes, in normal circumstances, you're right. So then, long as this is not a serious incident of highly political nature to our respective governments, they can't invoke a consular court just like that. Oh, can't they? Yeah, she's a student, but it doesn't justify our governments making secret agreements about her fate. Something strange is going on. So Miss Brett can't be held accountable for her actions here in Japan. I'm afraid that for the young student. Today's trial was nothing more than a game all along. There was never any danger of comeuppance for her. I don't believe it. The British government's Foreign Affairs Ministry has demanded we hand over custody of Miss Brett. They're obviously taking this case of a foreign student committing murder very seriously. But it's all going to change from now on. We can make it change. This is a time of great turmoil, this new era heralded by the start of the 20th century. One day, I have no doubt, that woman will receive the judgment she deserves. Yes, change is coming, and we're the ones driving it. Well, I think that's enough serious for now. This evening calls for a celebratory drink. But Professor, you're right, this is no time for gloomy faces. We should be celebrating Ryunosuke's not guilty verdict. Let's start having some fun. In that case, might I suggest La Carnival? As the head waiter, I should be delighted to provide you with ample food and drink. You're a detective, Hosonaga-san, aren't you? Let's not worry about details for now. To La Carnival, will you accompany us, Professor? Of course. La Carnival's food is second to none. I shall go and attend to the paperwork for Naruto-san's release. So Jozo Brett won't be tried here. I suppose that means I'll never know. I'll never find out why she killed Dr. Wilson. I just wanted to say thanks again, that's all. You really saved my skin today. Ha ha ha, I didn't do a thing. You were the lawyer in there, weren't you? That defense was all your own work. Your skills made the difference, though. One day I bet you'll be the best lawyer in the world. I'm not so sure about that. To be honest, something kept occurring to me over and over again during that trial. I couldn't help thinking that maybe you're the one destined to become a great lawyer, not me. I helped you today. It was only right at the very... If I helped you today, it was only right at the very start of the trial, but you have a natural talent for it, for being a defense lawyer. Not me. All that tense verbal combat, I never want to go through that ever again. I just did what you told me to do, that's all, because I knew I could trust you. That's the point! What do you mean, that's the point? Listen, Ryunosuke. Do you know the most crucial weapon that any lawyer needs in order to win? No, the ability to believe. To believe what? A defense lawyer has to fight for his clients. He has to believe in them at all times, like you believed in me when I said I didn't do it. I'm human, just like you. I don't have some superhuman ability to know the truth. But you have to make a choice about what to believe in and stick to it when you're defending someone. Sometimes in the courtroom you can be really backed into a corner, but being able to remain faithful to what you chose and believe in even then, well, that's not something just anyone can do. It takes a special kind of person. Believing in your client, huh? Just look at today's trial. I'm a student lawyer with precious little real experience, but you never stopped believing in me. You face seemingly hopeless situations time and time again, but you never stopped looking for the truth. And in the end, you found it, through your own efforts, and because you never stopped believing in me. Thanks, Kazuma. There's something I want to ask you, actually, Ryunosuke. Well, it's a favor, really. Something very important to me. It sounds serious. What is... Ah, you're still here, are you? Oh, Inspector Hosonaga, I've arranged some rickshaws for us. Let's go. Thank you, we'll be right there. Let's pick up this conversation again later. We should be celebrating right now. Your first court victory, and your study tour to Great Britain, don't forget. Yes, that too. So my very first trial came to an end. Kazuma, Professor Mikotoba, Suzato-san, who acted as my assistant, Inspector Hosonaga, who didn't really play much of a part, but still... It was because of the help and support of all these people that I managed to get through that trial. But more importantly, Kazuma hadn't yet managed to ask his favor of me. Little did I realize just how much it would change my life. Wait, you can go in any order? Why? That's stupid.
In a corner of that small, dark room, Sholmes and I waited.
Oh,
with
I forgot
bated
about
breath.
Sholm.
In time,
I know he's
the
in this game. I know
hiss
people love him.
and a soft, almost growl-like sound. Suddenly, Sholmes sprang into action, lashing furiously with his cane at a point in the darkness. "You see it, Wilson?" he yelled, his tense voice reverberating through the air. I raised my dark lantern's shutter, and the room slowly came into view. Sholmes was staring intently at one particular corner when he started whispering.
Sholmes. Sherlock
The victim's most
Sholmes.
perplexing final words. The speckled band. I believe this is the terrible coil to which she referred, Wilson. In front of us was an enormous adder, its fangs bared as it threatened to strike. It truly was the most terrible speckled band I had ever seen.
What? They didn't give me the option to present something at the end like they do in the original trilogy. That's cringe.
So then, let us unravel this mystery and discover what events led to this curious murder. Pray, do excuse me. The cabin door was bolted from the inside when the man was killed.
Locked room
No
murder.
marks to suggest the bolt was tampered with in any way. So, this would appear to be a locked room mystery. In his final moments...
I'm so horny for mysteries right now.
Almost certainly with the ink from this upset bottle. A Russian word. So the victim was a Russian man then. And the letters are well formed, suggesting he was compos mentis at the time.
What does that mean?
This is a most extraordinary script. And evidently not penned by the same hand as this message. In fact, I deduce it was written by someone of a different nationality. This paper seal was placed just prior to the incident by the victim himself, I would venture. Well, what have we here?
Who are you, and what do you think you're doing here?
Heavy?
No one must touch before maritime...
Heavy weapons guy?
Wait.
That won't be necessary. You see, in less than 5 seconds from now, I will reveal the killer to you.
What? Don't be absurd. This is murder. I need cabin locked from inside.
Ah yes, the locked room. But that mystery is paper thin.
You don't mean the culprit is in there?
Who are you, and where have you come from?
I'm a great British consultant detective, the only one in the world. Sherlock Sholmes. I presume you must have heard of me.
Sherlock Sholmes. Ugh, my head is throbbing. What's going on? Something's not right here. There's trouble in the air. I didn't know that. Did I not update the stream title? I thought I updated the stream title. Sorry, Monaco. There we go. Yeah, I just changed it. Sorry. We're playing the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles today. We just saw a cute boy, if you're into that. His name is Herlock Sholmes. I think he's like the Nagito character of this game. Like, I think he's a Komaida. I don't know. That's all I've heard. But yeah, today we're playing this, and then tomorrow we're going to be continuing Danganronpa Another, and then Sunday Splatoon, and then Monday more of this, and then we're going to keep switching back and forth. What the? Why am I in handcuffs? So you're awake. We had to drag you out of the wardrobe. I do not believe how you could not wake up. You are a true cold-blooded man. You found me then. Duh. We found you. And now you pay, criminal. How long you hiding in that tiny wardrobe, Ugh, sorry. Now you have been found. It is time to admit your crimes. Unless you want to find out how cold the ocean is, No, I'll tell you everything. There's only one thing I'd like to know from you. Why did you do it? Why did you take his life? Mrs. Otto. Wait, what did you just say? Take his life? Where is he? Where's Kazuma? Ah! You pretend you do not know. You are wolf in sheep's belt. You are the killer. Do not try to make excuses. Kazuma's fucking dead? Kazuma-sama was... body was discovered not too long ago. Here in this very cabin that was bolted shut from the inside. Please, do not try to tell us you were doing this terrible thing in your sleep. Kazuma's dead? But he can't be. And these handcuffs. Surely you don't think I have to know. Why did you take Kazuma-sama's life? Answer me, please. No! Kazuma, it was just 2 short weeks ago. Are you sure about this? Won't we get in trouble? Do you find it fun being a stowaway? Besides, how else could you come with England to be with me to study? It was really something else when you brought your luggage in here, though. The way that Russian crewman just tossed your traveling case onto the floor. I thought I was gonna die. Really? You stowed away? Yes, I still can't quite believe that. I really didn't think you'd be able to fit inside my trunk. You must be even less of a man than you look. Honestly, I thought I'd broken every bone in my body. Well, it's about 50 days until we dock in Great Britain, but if you confine yourself to my cabin here, I don't expect anyone will discover you. I have the feeling those Russians won't be any forgiving of a stowaway. They're a sturdy bunch, that for sure. What I want to know is, why do we need to keep it a secret from the young lady? From our faithful judicial assistant Mikotoba, you mean? From your close friend, more to the point. Surely we could confide in her, couldn't we? I don't believe she'd give me away. No, but if she knew what would be done, that would make her guilty by association. It's best that only you and I know about this. Anyway, it's about the time the steward is supposed to come and clean the cabin. I know it's cramped, but you better get in there, I think. It won't be for long, and anyway, compared to hiding inside my traveling case, it'll be a breeze. Yes, but what if the steward decides to open the wardrobe for some reason? Then I'll be in for it. Stop worrying. I tell you what. Why don't you write keep out or something on this piece of paper? Then I can stick it over the wardrobe doors once you're inside. We've only been at sea for about 15 days. How could this have happened? We were supposed to be going on this adventure to England together. We leave you at next port. Stay quiet till then. Don't make more trouble for yourself. Mother. No, I'm not a murderer. Duh, you said before. You said you admit everything about your crimes. I mean, yes, I did stow away on the ship, but murdering my best friend? No one else could have done it. Admit the truth. Suzaru-san, please, tell me what happened. I need to know. Very well. But there is something I would like to ask of you, too. He really has been killed. This isn't just a bad dream. And these handcuffs, they think I did it? They think I'm Kazuma's killer? When they found him, the cabin was locked from the inside. There's no access to the cabin via porthole window, and the bolt on the door can't be operated from outside. In other words, after the crime, the culprit can't have escaped this four walls. Or to put it another way, the culprit can only have been somebody inside this cabin. Or do you have some other explanation? How did he die then? What happened exactly? Are you still going to deny the charge, even despite the circumstances? The cause of death is still undetermined. The ship's doctor is examining the body, but of course, he has no post-mortem analysis experience. I don't suppose we will learn more until... So presumably that means there were no obvious external signs of injury then. That's true, yes. Can anybody tell me what actually happened here in this cabin? Why would anyone want to kill Kazuma? Presumably that's something you know the answer to better than anyone. Whatever you say, you were here in the cabin after all. Well, yes, I was, but... He would always wait before dawn and do his training first thing in the morning. I was waiting outside his cabin as I have every day so far, but this morning he did not come. I could sense that he wouldn't. I knocked, but there was no reply. Then I started to become worried, so I went to go find a member of the crew. The crewmen forced the cabin door open, and when we managed to get inside, there was Kazuma-san collapsed on the floor. And the white tape shows exactly where it was found, I suppose. I had no idea anything was happening. I must have been asleep in the wardrobe somehow. I wish it wasn't the case, but that's just very hard to believe. This is all very hard to believe for me too, trust me. Now I've told you everything I know, so it's my turn to ask you a question. Why are you even on board the ship, Naruto-san? You said something before about being a stowaway, didn't you? Oh yes, I'm afraid that's true. It's 2 weeks since we left Japan now, and I've been shut up in this cabin the entire time. I had no idea, but how could you have occupied Kazuma's cabin so long without him noticing? That would have been impossible, obviously. Yes, of course. Kazuma invited me. He wanted us to go to England together. He actually asked you? But why? I'm afraid I don't really know the reason myself. I don't understand. Kazuma, why do you want this? What's the real reason? Why do you go through such extreme lengths to smuggle me to England with you? It's an idea that's been on my mind ever since the end of that incredible trial. I think I told you then that you ought to become a lawyer yourself. Yes, but I didn't think you were serious. You have a talent for it, I can assure you of that. But I never really thought about becoming a lawyer. Well, that's something you can decide for yourself. London is the spearhead of cultural development, the center of the world in many ways. There can't be any harm seeing such an important place with your own eyes, can there? Well, no, definitely not. But on a personal level, if you were to become a lawyer, then nothing. Forget it. Kazuma was always saying the same thing, that he wanted to change the Japanese legal system. Perhaps he thought he could do that with you. Susanna-san, I'm sorry that we kept it a secret from you, my stowing away on the ship. If I know Kazuma-sama, I expect he was trying to protect me, to avoid me becoming guilty by association. That's exactly right, yes. If you're not the culprit, then tell me, what happened last night here in this cabin? Well, the thing is, I don't really remember. Kazuma brought me something to eat, just like he always did. And then I got myself into that wardrobe over there, just like I always did. After that, I fell asleep? Well, yes. So deeply that you didn't even stir when Kazuma-sama was killed. Yes. I know it sounds unbelievable. Really, I do, but it's the truth. I'd only just woken up. If only I'd woken up, then perhaps I wouldn't be in this predicament, and for some reason my head's still throbbing like anything. Is something wrong? Oh, no, it's... Please, forget it. You have to believe me, Susanna-san. I didn't do it. I really don't want to doubt you, but the trouble is, there's no one else who could have possibly done this. Kazuma, I don't understand. Why? Why did this have to happen? Don't try to go anywhere. You're the perpetrator of this crime. You can't leave. I can't allow that to happen. I'm sorry, but Kazuma was killed right under my nose here, and I didn't do anything to stop it. And now I'm supposed to just sit around, hands tied, while whoever did this walks free? No, I can't allow that to happen. Well, what do you propose to do then? I'm going to investigate. I'm going to find out exactly what happened here. I'm going to work out who took Kazuma's life and why they did it. So I'm sorry, but you're going to have to excuse me. Hey-ya! What the? That was a Susanoo takedown. I'm going to need you to prove it. Yes, your innocence. I need evidence. Have you forgotten already what you achieved just a few weeks ago? You successfully defended yourself in a court of law.
Yes!
Tell me, when I was discovered in the wardrobe before, was this piece of paper stuck over the doors? Oh, yes it was. I remember clearly. Kazuma always put it in place whenever I went to sleep in there. Just in case the cabin steward or another crew member tried to look inside. So, he did the same last night as well. Yes, of course. The gentleman who discovered you peeled that sign from the wardrobe doors before he opened them. But if I truly were the culprit, I couldn't have climbed back inside the wardrobe and stuck this on the outside of the doors on my own. Yes, that's quite true. In other words, it's impossible that I killed Kazuma. Well, even if you are sprawled hopelessly on the floor, I can see why Kazuma-sama thought so highly of you. Well, in the light of that evidence, I don't see any reason why I should stop you from investigating in here, at least. I'm sorry, no. I'm not sure yet. I can't rule out the possibility that you used some sort of conjuring trick to put the sign back in the position. For now, I suggest that you investigate as thoroughly as possible in here. I'll do the same. Please don't misunderstand me. I still have my doubts. I shall be watching you to make sure you do nothing that might disturb the crime scene. I wouldn't want you using your conjuring tricks to destroy evidence. What? Perhaps I should see what this Russian crewmate makes of the scene of the crime. Excuse me? What? I was wondering how it's going. The investigation, I mean. Grandmother told me Japanese people do not make jokes, but it's not true, I see. The criminal asking investigator for information about his crime, very funny. It wasn't supposed to be a joke. He doesn't appear to be laughing either. He's convinced you're guilty. He might have useful information, though. So last night, did you notice anything out of the ordinary at all? Yeah, of course not. Now back to corner of room and make silent. I say no more to you. Did I hit a nerve? Just for a minute there, he seemed a little flustered. Oh dear, that won't do. Whenever I'm examining things, I always find myself so focused I forget to look around properly. I don't suppose you're as foolish as me in that regard, are you, Naruto-san? I'm sure you're careful to look all around you using... Did Kazuma write that before he died? It looked like it's written in ink. He must have knocked the ink pot from the desk when he collapsed on the floor. And then I suppose he wrote this message while dipping his finger in the spillage. No doubt he was in terrible pain. It's almost unbearable to imagine it. I suppose he was trying to leave some kind of clue in his final moments. I'm sorry, partner, but I can't read your writing. I don't think that's Japanese, Naruto-san. It pains me to admit it, but I don't know. It's not a foreign script I'm familiar with. What does it mean, I wonder? Is that in the court record, or...? That's a very large traveling case. It carries a lot of memories for me. Memories? What do you mean? Well, that's actually how I stowed away on this vessel. I was brought on board inside that case. Ah yes, I see it says "this way up" in Japanese. Which in hindsight, I should have realized the foreign crewman wouldn't be able to read. I was turned over and over and over and over, and then I was tossed on the floor in here. Oh dear. Being a stowaway isn't as romantic as it sounds. Well, it was less painful than a Susato takedown. This is where Kazuma-sama would have sat when he was writing. London Diary. He didn't even make it to his destination. It looks as though the last entry is incomplete, which means he was in the middle of writing it when the incident happened. Let's see what it says. That's out of the question. Kazuma-sama may have part of this word, but you must not read his private thought. But what if it's something important, something relevant to the case? Alright, I won't read it. It's something relevant to the case! But in this case, isn't the need for clues more important? Okay. It's been 2 weeks since we set sail for Japan. Have you really been living in that wardrobe the entire time now, Haruto-san? I think living isn't quite the right description. Oh no, I suppose not. Although it must have been rather exciting making this voyage in your own secret hideout. The trouble was I never knew when a member of the crew might come in, so yes, I did basically have to live in the wardrobe, and last night was no exception. But because of that, you had no idea what was happening out here in the cabin. No, sadly not. Can we search the closet for, like, anesthetics or something? It's a bell cord contraction, I think. Large houses often has bell cords like this, which you can pull to ring a bell to summon servants. Shall we give it a little try? Yes, in the interest of cultural research, obviously. No, sure that everyone is busy, that's all. What do you think this is? It looks like a broken piece of glassware. Whatever the thing is, it was broken clean in two. The glass is such a beautiful color. It looks like a cute little Nasuki fastener from a kimono outfit. He wouldn't have secretly carried a cute little trinket like this around with him, would he? And the mark beside it, what is it, I wonder? It has a sort of brick-like hue. Yes, you're right, it is the color of brick, isn't it? Even though I don't see anything of the same color anywhere else in the cabin. When I went for helping the crewmen force the door open, this bolt has been firmly closed. Still, with the door bolted, there would be no way to get in or out of the cabin, that's for sure. It's no wonder everyone suspects me. When she glares at me like that, I feel all tense up and down my spine. I remember reading once in a detective novel the culprit used a needle and thread to draw a bolt across from outside of the room in a situation like this. Yes, that's a clever trick, isn't it? I'm an active reader of detective stories myself, but the door of this cabin and the frame are made of metal and they seal together perfectly. There'd be no possibility of using that needle and thread trick here, I'm afraid. The song kind of goes crazy. Seiji, the Japanese word for justice. The brushstrokes are straight and true, just like Kazuma. His calligraphy was always a reflection of the heart. Yet you, can you really look at those characters without feeling shame, knowing who drew them so thoughtfully? I mean, I'm innocent, so why shouldn't I be able to? Even though you stowed away on the ship? Now you're gonna bring that up, are you? I can't win. That's Kazuma-sama's precious sword. He never went anywhere without it. Yes, he was always saying that a Japanese man's katana is his soul. I believe he had to work very hard in order to convince the government to let him bring it on this trip. I suppose it shows how important to him is. The books have fallen over on the shelf. Look, they've all toppled the same way. And what's this? A statue of some god of the sea? Although he's fallen over as well. It's almost as though the whole shelf has been ransacked, everything mowed down at once. I wonder if it was Kazuma-san was doing his morning sword training, perhaps? I seriously doubt it. Then perhaps it was you, Naruto-san, in a fit of rage. I wouldn't have bothered leaving the wardrobe just to mess up a few books and a statue. Could the way these things have been thrown about have anything to do with the case, I wonder? Well, I'll just set everything straight again. I don't like to see a mess. That's my dinner from last night. A roast chicken. It was really tasty. Yes, it was very delicious, wasn't it? But did you eat it on the floor here? I'm not a dog, Suzato-san. I ate it at the table, of course. Which begs the question of when and how did the plate end up on the floor? But Kazuma-sama didn't like chicken at all, did he? No, that's right, so he didn't touch it, which means all the more for me. Oh, does that mean poor Kazuma spent the last night on this earth with an empty belly? It's just too horrible. There's nothing on this table at all. The plate and cutlery are all over the floor for some reason. It's strange. Last night when I went to sleep, I'm sure everything was still... No, wait a minute. That's funny. I can't seem to remember anything about what happened after dinner at all. So then perhaps you are responsible for what happened to Kazuma-sama. These are the rules of passage for travel. It's essentially a list of requests from the captain to tell all passengers on board. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Then what is the sword doing here? Pets are also strictly forbidden. What? Why are you staring at me? Oh, sorry. I was just thinking. Are you more of a dangerous object or a pet? I can't decide. One thing's for sure. Either way, I wasn't supposed to be in here. I think that's some kind of opening for a ventilator, a hole through which fresh air can circulate. Isn't that a little odd? Well, this ventilator, if that's what it is, looks like it must connect to the next door cabin. Yes, it would appear to. You're right. But if its purpose is to allow fresh air in the room, surely it should be connected to the outside. That's true. Perhaps so that the rain and spray don't find a way in when the sea is rough, or something like that. What? Who's that? He wasn't there a minute ago. As far as I can tell, it looks like he might be European. Oh, how did he... You've noticed the man too, have you? I have no idea who he is or how he got here, but he looks suspicious and tall. Suspiciously tall. No, Harusan, don't tell me. Do you really not know who that is? Well, no, I don't have any foreign friends or acquaintances at all. He doesn't look like a member of the crew. There's something very unusual about him, and he's investigating Kazuma-sama's desk. Or is he just playing on it? Well, in that case, we simply must talk with him. By the way, I expect that you've noticed already, but just in case, if you press A on people while they're in crosshairs, you can converse with them. Excuse me. Excuse me, do you have a moment? Shh, this is a critical point in my investigation. Maybe I should leave him alone. He seems a little unfriendly. Yes, perhaps that would be for the best. Greetings! I hope I haven't startled you. Ah! What exactly were you doing on Kazuma's desk just now? Ah, I see. Fascinating. What do you see? It feels like he's looking right through me. Oh yes, everything is clear now. The train of reasoning has run its course. My deductions have crystallized. You have been in Afghanistan, I perceive. Just recently returned, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry? What? And now, whilst venturing towards foreign climes, you find yourself in a most troubling predicament. Well, that's true, at least. But how? How the deuce did I know that, perhaps? It was a really most elementary decision, hardly worth explaining. Deduction. Have you perhaps managed to deduce anything else? But of course, a great many things. There is no mystery, my dear madam. For example, you have fled your native land of Russia, being, as you are, a merciless revolutionary. You leave 16 victims of assassination in your wake and now travel to England to blow up the Crystal Tower. And when the Bourbon, the occupant of this very cabin, discovered your identity, you ended his life too. I believe that summarizes the facts beautifully. No need to hide the truth now. Nothing deceives these eyes. Just to be clear, you are talking about me, are you? Certainly I am. Do you see another in this cabin who fits the bill? A Russian assassin with 16 victims to his name? The sailor, maybe? So it's true, it was you who did this to Kazuma-sama. And you're plotting a revolution too. It's shameful behavior, Naruto-san. Absolutely wicked. No, listen, there's no way Now explain yourself. Tell me everything. This is ridiculous. How could you do it? For pity's sake, open your eyes. I'm not a Russian revolutionary, obviously. And as for you, what kind of deduction was that? You're just saying the first thing that came into your head. Ah, but was I not right? While venturing towards foreign climes, you do find yourself in a most troubling predicament. Do you not? There you have it, you see. What do you make of that, Well, to be honest, this ship is en route to England, and I'm in handcuffs at the scene of a murder. So, I'm not really sure you could call it a deduction. It's more a plain observation. Indeed, an observation, my dear boy, is the basis of all deduction. My method is founded upon observation of trifles. You see, I announce my findings with a brassy certitude, and more often than not, I'm right. I don't think you introduced yourself. Ah, my apologies. How remiss of me. I'm none other than the greatest detective of the century, known to men and women the world over. The inimitable Sherlock Holmes. Why is he called that? So it's really you, the actual Sherlock Holmes. The very same, the inimitable actual Holmes. Do you know this man, Susanna-san? The most famous detective in the world? Not Hana-san, of course I do. There's nobody who hasn't heard of him. What planet have I been living on then? We must ask him what he deduced. He will have worked out the entire case already, I'm sure. Really, why do I feel uneasy about this? So you're a great detective, are you? Sorry, what was your name again? Indeed, I am none other than the one and only Sherlock Holmes. Oh, I see, you're German. Sherlock, was it? No, I have no hair. I mean, I have hair. Please call me Holmes. You can read all about my exploits in the exciting London publication. Oh yes, France Magazine, full of wonderful short stories and interesting articles from Great Britain. I never missed an issue. I have it sent from England especially. The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. So you're the protagonist in a series of short stories then? Indeed I am. And you've read so many of your short stories, you've started to think you really are a detective. Make no mistake, I'm not the poor, deluded fellow you take me for. Your inference is backward. My trusty biographer records my greatest detecting achievements and chronicles them in the magazine. Doesn't everyone? My name goes by the name of Dr. Wilson, presently keeping shop in London. I must say, thanks to that publication, I've been fantastically busy as of late. He's moving like fucking Carbonara. Why, at this very moment, I am returning from Asia, having solved the mystery of a cursed royal crown. Deduction, you see, is a science, logical reasoning in its purest form. A science? Really? I'm an astute observer, and the astute observer notices even the most subtle of reactions in his subject. A furtive glance, a twitch of a muscle, the slight inclination of the posture, fingernails, arm sleeves, furrows in the skin. All of these things are data. Right, and the trained logician makes deductions from this data in the blink of an eye. The ultimate conclusion is, without fail, the truth. As I demonstrated only a few short moments ago. I think you're stupid. So you see, I return both for observation and for deduction and fame. That what makes me the one and only Sherlock Holmes. Have you managed to deduce anything about this particular case yet? Have you managed to deduce anything, my dear fellow? Who do you suppose discovered the culprit in his most cunning hiding place? That's right. It is none other than the great detective before you now, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. I see. In other words, I'm in these now because of him. When I became anxious about Kazuma-sama this morning, I summoned all the crew members to force the cabin door open. And I concealed myself among their number, gaining entry to the scene of the crime. Luckily for everyone, the great detective Sherlock Holmes was on board. And the handcuffs seem to be an excellent fit, Mr. Naruhodo. The very moment I laid eyes on the scene, two facts were immediately apparent to me. Oh really, two facts, you say? Can we just talk about your deduction before? The things you concluded about me, I mean? Ah, the now famously accurate troubling predicament you find yourself in. Actually, it was the other details that I was more hoping to discuss. You know, the merciless Russian revolutionary and assassin of 16 part. Ah yes, the more sordid details. It is a very commonplace deduction. Here you have this morning's paper. The main headline reads, Revolutionary villain Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. This vessel made a port call at Shanghai yesterday, and last night the young Russian was murdered. Since when was Kazuma Russian? It sounds like Mr. Sholmes has concluded that he was Russian because of what Kazuma-san wrote on the floor. It's a simple act of reasoning to realize that the culprit was the same merciless revolutionary, one who killed the very man who helped him escape after his true identity was discovered. Yes, you, villain Bolshevik. No, how could it be me? I don't look anything like this man, just look at his face. Well, you are a fearsome revolutionary after all. Therefore, you have no doubt learned to revolutionize your appearance as well. And I might add, your name does not appear on the ship's passenger list. Need I say more? Well, that's because I'm a stowaway. What about the other details? The 16 victims and an accident. The journalist clearly interviewed the man and printed all those particulars in the articles. The deeds this man has perpetrated thus far and those he is plotting. Why would he say what he's plotting in a newspaper? Do revolutionaries usually get into interviews with newspaper reporters? What about the part you said I was just returning from Afghanistan? Also quite clearly stated here in the article. Bolshevik has recently returned after a period of subversive activities in a war-torn region of Afghanistan. Here, take the paper for yourself, as a little memento of this great deduction. I've absorbed all that is interested me within its pages, but I see no rubbish bin nearby. And you may find the article on the back pages of interest as well. Cast your eye over it sometimes if the interest takes you, though you may need someone to interpret. It's all written in Russian. I suppose it wouldn't hurt just to glance at the article. Maybe there might be a picture or two. This is interesting. Have you found something relevant now, Naruhodo-san? Well, no, I mean, I think it might be interesting. I can't read a single word, I'm afraid. Nor can I, but look at this picture. Perhaps it's about a beautiful Russian princess, do you think? She is very pretty, isn't she? I suppose you enjoy articles like this, do you? I don't know, I can't make sense of it. Ah, I'm glad you've noticed this article. Allow me to give you a short summary of its contents. It's about the disappearance of a young lady last night. Renowned prima ballerina of the Nova Ballerina disappears from Shanghai. During a performance in Shanghai, the famous dancer was reported missing. She is, of course, the talented Nikolina Pavlova. Why are Russians' names so hard to remember? It seemed the woman was in costume when she was found to be missing from her dressing room, wearing the diamond tiara you see picture, which is worth some 20,000 rubles. Must be an unbelievable sum of money. These other sinners shining like diamonds themselves. The tiara is property of the Novovic Ballet. It seems the director is beside herself with worry. The company is most anxious to recover both Miss Pavlova and the valuable tiara. They've requested international assistance in all ports with its sailings to Great Britain. Could this be another case of a Russian fleeing his or her country? It does seem to be the Russian thing to do. I'm not even going to dignify that with a response, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm afraid I can't read a word of Russian. Me neither. I have no idea what any of this says. The pair of you floundering is a sorry sight. Allow me to offer some assistance. The article on the front page of the newspaper is concerned with a feared Russian... It reads, Revolutionary villain Bolshevik flees Russia from Shanghai. Yes, you told us that before. It also reveals that those who see the man's beard with their own eyes never live to tell the tale. Well, presumably the newspaper photographer was alright. The solution is obvious. If he despises his beard to that degree, he need only shave it off. I'm not quite sure that's the problem, Mr. Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes, tell us, please. What two facts are apparent to you when you came into the cabin this morning? Ah, yes, but first let us be precise. The two facts in question were immediately apparent to me. Yes, I understand, but what were they? Allow me to elucidate. The two facts I deduced from a mere momentary glance at the scene of the crime were as follows. Number one, the cabin was locked from within, when rendering escape of the culprit out of the question. They went through the fucking vent! They're among us! Number two, the victim was Russian and killed following a dispute with an acquaintance. What made you think the victim was Russian? Observe the dying message left by the victim on the floor. That is the Russian word for wardrobe. Do you really think Kazuma could have left the dying message in Russian? In their final moments, they may find their native tongue flitting their head. For this young man, Russian. Kazuma was Russian, was he? Initially, I considered Gardarov may be the name of a certain killer. A certain Robert Gard, perhaps. But in the interest of thoroughness, I thought it would be wrong to not look inside the wardrobe there, where you found Mr. Naruhodo sleeping soundly. Quite so. I found you, the renowned Russian revolutionary killer. I observed that you were wearing the same attire as the victim. In other words, you were acquainted. And if my memory serves, the outfit is the traditional dress of the Russian people. Are school uniforms of the traditional dress of the Russian people? I had no idea a detective could get something so wrong. I took a photograph of the victim and the message that I might analyze it for possible hidden details. This was taken immediately after the young man was discovered, before the body was removed. This is the first time I've actually seen him like this. Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, yes, thank you. Can I ask you something, Mr. Sholmes? You mentioned Russia before as well. You know, when you said I was a fearsome revolutionary fleeing from Russia and all that. Ah, yes, the train of reasoning that led me to the truth. Would you mind explaining that train of reasoning, do you think? Certainly, if it interests you. Before we started talking, you were examining Kazuma's desk. Kazuma? Ah yes, the victim. Did you notice anything useful? Anything at all? Observe for a moment the desktop of the victim. We see that the victim was engaged in penning some text. London Diary. London Diary. Kazuma was keeping notes of the trip. Ah, but I don't think you should read his private writings. It could upset people. Tragic, and something you ought to perhaps elucidate before the act of reading. You mean you've read it already? It is my business to know what other people do not. Yes, believe it or not, I know a smattering of Japanese. I see. Well, you're about to know what a Suzato takedown is. Suzato-san? Aren't you going to throw the detective with one of your trademark takedowns? I'm sorry, Naruto-san. What on earth do you mean? Dumbass! Anyway, to return to the matter at hand, namely, this diary belonging to the victim, it would appear the final sentence is incomplete, as if the author was cut short. Tell me, what is the issue of the ring? Be precise as to the details. A smattering, dear boy, a smattering. Sayonara, bonsai, Makaido, nado. I trust you're suitably impressed. But this diary is littered with complicated-looking characters of which I can read precisely none. If you'd be so kind as to show you, I would happily read it to you, Mr. Sholmes. I'm much obliged, my dear madam. The final entry in Kazuma's diary consists of two short sentences. The first reads, 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. These are very deep waters. Pray, go on. The second sentence reads, 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. I've never heard that expression before. The ventilator grill, you say? The man was presumably referring to the lattice up there on the wall, which connects to the adjoining cabin. So I believe I've given you enough to consider for the time being, at least. Do you have somewhere to go? As it happens, the victim's writings in his diary have piqued my interest. The matter warrants further investigation, I believe, and if I'm still too long, the seasickness takes hold. Well, I suppose you're thinking of investigating the cabin next door, which the ventilator connects to. Great detectives are a curious breed, a monster bell at stagnation, who crave men. So yes, I intend to investigate. Hence the truth will become clear soon enough. Do you think perhaps that we could go with you? No, that would be somewhat complicated. A simple glance at your wrist should reveal the answer. After all, you're the prime suspect in this matter. No? There's no point trying to turn into a question. You're the one who decided I was the culprit in the first place. Whatever do you mean? I have no recollection of naming you as the culprit at any point. You must be joking. You just said it only a moment ago. Dear me, you are clearly misguided. I would have no cause to say such a thing. Well, actually, Mr. Sholmes, I did hear you say that too. You quite sure? Well, that's very strange. I wouldn't have said you had the face of a criminal, you know? Not really. So what, were you looking at my knees before? Some great detective you are. Well, anyway, that was then and this is now. What I mean, sir, is this. If you are the culprit, then you must play the part more convincingly. Roll over and accept your fate. Ha 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 ha! Naruto-san, what are you just standing there for? We must investigate the cabin next door. Aren't you forgetting something? What about these? There's no American... What? After Cosmo spent his dying moment struggling to leave us a clue, you're willing to give up? You're going to roll over and accept your fate? I think we still have some investigation to finish off here first, don't we? Let's carry on examining the cabin while we wait for a chance to slip next door. The situation doesn't look good for me, but there are still some things I can do to help myself. And I owe it to Kazuma to do everything to find my way out of this and bring the real culprit to justice. The crewman standing by the door. I can't help but feeling like I've seen him somewhere before. Oh yes, you're right. He does look familiar. Excuse me, sir. Yes, what can I do for you? It's... Oh my fucking god. I recognize that face, but it can't be. It is. I didn't know where you were here, Inspector Hosonaga. He's a recurring character? Hello again. I think that should be my line. I saw someone when I saw you. My heart stopped. Nearly stopped, I hope. I received some special orders to go undercover as a member of the crew and board the ship. You certainly seem to enjoy undercover work a lot, Inspector. If there's anything I can do to help you, please ask. So what are your special orders this time, Inspector? Yes, and why are you dressed as a member of the crew? I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. I take full responsibility. For what? My orders were to act as a Sogi-san's bodyguard. It was Minister of Justice Jigoku who pushed for this overseas studies tour to go ahead, and he entrusted me with ensuring that Asogi-san reached Great Britain without being assassinated. How could that have even been a possibility? I'm not sure, but these are complicated times. There are tensions between the world's greatest power. Minister Jigoku said we should all be prepared for all eventualities. I don't believe it. Kazuma-san was assassinated? Obviously, we couldn't give Asogi-san a visible security escort, which is why I'm undercover now, posing as one of the crew. And I didn't take my eyes off him the entire time we've been on board, from morning till night, every day. But I never imagined it would happen here, inside his own cabin, not here on the first class deck. I failed miserably at my assignment, and Asogi-san is dead as a result. I'm a disgrace. All I can do is humbly apologize. So if there's anything all I can do to help now, just say the word. We're doing what we can to investigate Kazuma-san's death ourselves. I thought you might be. You didn't do it, did you? You're not the killer? Of course not. We'd really like to investigate the cabin next door. Yes, so we need to be allowed out of the cabin. I'm sorry. You've been deemed a risk to the ship's safety. If you move to even touch the handle of the cabin door, that stony-looking seaman here will surely snap your neck in two. I suppose I'm not just a stowaway now. They think I'm a murderer as well. Would it be possible to give me something to work with, do you think? I'm gonna need something persuasive. What do you mean? If I had solid reason why the next door cabin needed to be investigated, by example, I'd do everything I can to persuade the captain to allow it. Really, I'd lay my life on the line, but I don't see how. There may be a way. Think of how you tried to persuade me of your innocence, by presenting me with a piece of evidence that you already had in your possession. It's just the same like when you're in court. You must have done it many times during your trial. What's that? It's Kazuma's diary. Just before he died, Kazuma-sama wrote something strange in his diary. He wrote, what looks like some kind of speckled band is hanging from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? That is strange. Yes, we're still trying to work out what he meant by that, but what I'd like to know is... Don't tell me, the ventilator, is it? You're very astute, Inspector. That ventilator clearly joins the next door cabin. So if we can investigate in there, we might be able to work out what the speckled band was. Alright then. I can't leave this cabin at the moment. I'm stuck here until we arrive at the next port. The captain has given me strict orders to guard the scene of the crime, you see. I have to entrust the investigation to you. As long as you don't leave the first-class cabin area, I'm afraid I can't remove those handcuffs, though. But what about the captain? I'm a man of my word. And I promise you I'll lay my life on the line if that's what it takes to convince the captain. I failed to keep Asogi-san safe. Let's seize the moment then, Naruhodo-san. Just like move and we can leave this captain at last. And the guy just let us leave. I'm finally out of that cabin. I have to admit, this isn't quite what I was expecting. It's less spacious out here than I thought it would be, and this is the most luxurious accommodation. Yes, indeed. Kazuma-sama was being on the study tour by the government. That's why I was being put up in a first-class cabin. Even still, this is quite as large, twice as large as my accommodation in steerage. Look over there, there's another crewman keeping watch, and he looks enormous. The door next in leads to the second-class accommodation, and I suppose he's making sure no one comes in here, should it? I suppose, like people in handcuffs. Now, Hana-san, you look like a little boy visiting a toy shop for the first time. I would have thought you'd be used to the ship by now. We've been at sea for 2 weeks already. Well, yes, I know, but the thing is, I was inside Cosmo's trunk when I first came aboard, and ever since then I've been shut up inside that little wardrobe. It must have been a very trying time for you. Please don't give me that pitying look. What is this? Ah, a trap for catching mice. We have plenty of those back home in Japan, although they seem to be using a lump of chalk or something as bait. Let me see. Yes, I think that's what is called cheese. It's made from the milk of cows. You can't eat it, Naruhodo-san. The trap will snap shut on your fingers. Really, but I suppose you're right. You weren't actually going to try it, were you? All I've had to eat for the past couple of weeks is Kazuma's leftovers. You don't know how hungry I've been in that wardrobe. Poor you. I'll find a little snack for you later. What do you think this is? It's a very pleasing shape, is it? That's the emergency alarm. It's probably best not to touch it. It says, press only in times of emergency. It looks as though it sets alarm bells ringing all over the ship and brings the vessel to a complete stop. Oh, this I have to see. But this is an emergency situation. Just look at these handcuffs. You know full well that's not what the alarm is for. If you were to bring a vessel to a standstill for no good reason, you'd be in an even worse situation. If you have to do something foolish, at least make it something that doesn't affect everyone else. This looks like a plan of the SS Burya, and it shows each step. It's a large-scale steamship with a triple-skinned hull. What a marvel of engineering. It's been playing on my mind for a while now, but how is it such a huge lump of metal just doesn't sink in the bottom of the ocean? Oh, that's really quite simple, Naruhodo-san. Well, consider the Japanese archipelago. They're not metal, but they're enormous. They're not metal, but they're enormous logs of earth, and they don't sink, do they? And they've been floating happily on the sea since the gods created them. There's a huge book on top of the table here, and there's a pen next to it. That looks like the ship's log. Shall we have a little look through it? The writing is so neat and precise. Every detail about the voyage has been meticulously recorded. You wouldn't expect such a rough and ready sailor to have such beautiful handwriting. And nothing. No reaction at all. I thought he might appreciate the compliment. I'm not sure that rough and ready is much of a compliment, Naruto-san, even to a sailor. Anyway, last night's log is mostly blank. Excuse me, but can I ask you something? You little stowaway murderer? That wasn't a good start, was it? Alright, let me try instead. Good day, Mr. Sailor. I'm so sorry to trouble you, but can I ask something of you? You little third-class lady's maid? You seem to have caught the sailor on a bad day. I am not sailor. My mother gave me a name. I am senior crewman Beef Really? She beef till I'm stroganoff? She beef on my stroganoff till I... She's stroking me off till I have beef? Mr. Stroganoff, about this first-class cabin area. Here we are in the finest part of Burrios steamship for very important persons. Government official, kings and queens traveling in secret, many important persons. That is why I'm always guarding this place. That's amazing. But sometimes I let stupid stowaway inside. I want to pick you up and throw you in ocean, but stroganoff is not animal. If I may, I was wondering, is the cabin next to Mr. Isogi's currently occupied? Da! Suzato-san, did you understand that? It sounded like da. I think it's probably Russian for yes, or no. Genius. It is not permitted to visit other cabins without invitation. Well, it sounds like there is somebody in the next door cabin, at least. Yes, it's tantalizing. Could you tell us who's traveling in the cabin next to Mr. Isogi's? His name is Mr. Grimsby Roylott. He is a very important Western gentleman. A Western gentleman. Do not think about it. He has nothing to do with murder of student boy. Mr. Roylott is authentic Western gentleman. Such a man would have no interest in lowly student from insignificant Far East Island. Could you tell us when Mr. Roylott came aboard? That is not your business. I've never once heard anything from the next door cabin or felt like there's anyone there. Well, presumably, since this gentleman is occupying one of the first-class cabins, he must be rather important. Is that right? That is not your business. His name is really Beef Stroganoff. I hate this game. But, all time, so criminals like you cannot come in or get out. I wonder, could you tell us anything about last night at all? It is sad about student boy. Were you on watch last night as well? Of course. And did you notice anything at the time? Anything unusual? Aunt! It was clearly a no. I saw nothing unusual, nothing at all. And you didn't hear strange noises or sense anything that was wrong in some way. I said no! I'm not so sure. I could have sworn that he wouldn't catch my eye for a moment there. This is enough. I cannot say more now. It is time for me to report to Captain. You must return to cabin. Bulkhead to second class area saying locked at all times. You escape when the lobster whistles on top of mountain, or as English say, when pigs fly. Good, now we can investigate this area properly. This is it. This is the cabin next to ours, the one the ventilator connects to. Yes, the ventilator from when Kazuma-sama wrote that he saw a speckled band emerging. This cabin can help solve that particular mystery. Let's go. No answer. We're out of luck, it seems. There's no one in there to help with our inquiries. How annoying. Ah! What was that? It came from inside the cabin. Such a high-pitched scream. It must have been a woman. Stand aside! I'm about to break the door down. I shan't be soft. When the fit is on me, I revel in kicking doors off their hinges. Please, wait, Mr. Sholmes. The door doesn't appear to be bolted. It doesn't? And how the deuce shall I display this muscular urge? What, pray, can I do? I think we should go in. There's no time to worry about stress relief. Hello! Who are you? Oh, a Western gentleman. He looks Russian to me. We heard a woman scream. A woman? Don't be absurd. As you can see, there is nobody but me in this cabin. True, this old man seems to be the only person in here. But in that case, who just screamed? Get out, all of you, now! Please excuse the intrusion, but you're Mr. Grimsby Roylott, I believe. Yes, that's me. And you are? I'm the one and only, the actual Sherlock Sholmes. You've heard of me, no doubt? No. I'm the great detective among great detectives. One of the covers of popular magazines, so I assure you, you may trust me completely. The man uses the magazine like a business card. A detective? I do not trust detectives. We distinctly heard a scream emanating from within these walls. But there wouldn't appear to be a lady concealing herself within the wardrobe this time. So might it be so bold to ask you to open that small traveling case? What? Don't be stupid! How could anyone fit in a small trunk like that? Well, it's quite fashionable these days, traveling inside one's trunk. Did you see that, Mr. Naruto? Yes, the case just shook. Leave, now! Otherwise I'll call the steward! So this is Kazuma's neighbor, Mr. Grimsby Roylott. There's no doubt about it, the strange Russian man is hiding something. I couldn't agree more. Let's see if we can find some clues before that burly sailor... Mr. Roylott, we'd like to talk to you about something. No! I do not want to talk. Leave my cabin now! We're not getting anywhere here. But there may be someone else who can help. Perhaps that great detective could get somewhere with Mr. Roylott. What do you think you're doing? This is my cabin! Get out! Can we just have a quick look inside your traveling case, perhaps? No! Aw, what a pity. I think we're out of luck. I think you're right. There doesn't appear to be anything more we can do. I agree, but there may be someone who can help. Perhaps that great detective could get somewhere with this Mr. Roylott. Do you have a moment, Mr. Sholmes? You need only address me as Sholmes. That's what I just did, isn't it? Well, Mr. Sholmes, what were you doing there? Why, I was resting, of course. Resting? Indeed, I was contemplating our sea voyage from the confines of a wardrobe while waiting for the inevitable time that you would need to call my great powers of deduction into service. And it seems the hour is upon us now. The time has come. Am I mistaken? Well, no, actually, you're spot on for once. Observe closely. Our Russian nurse in this cabin, Mr. Roylott, is clearly trying to hide something. And you know what the most effective is to use against a Russian hiding a secret? Why? The truth, of course. Though it should be pointed out that such methods are not exclusively for the Russians. Can you imagine how this Russian will react when its secret guard supposedly is exposed? Would you like to witness it? Well then, what you're about to see may well astound you. For I am about to apply my great detective's greatly admire great deduction to the skill. Could this man be a more happy portrayal of a dubious Russian, I ask you? What? From time to time it occurs to me that this fellow is dubious on account of his Russianness, or is he Russian on account of his dubious? This seems racist. Is this game racist? Is Russian a race? And Mr. Sholmes, sorry. I know this man's bearded dark glasses are hard to ignore, especially on a merged meeting, but is a capital mistake to theorize before you have all the evidence. I must have complete silence. What are you doing? Why are you peering at my face like that? Ah, just as I thought. Yes, I have quite made up my mind. There could be no other explanation that accommodates all the facts. Mr. Roylott, I have reached two incontrovertible conclusions. Number one, your true identity is that of a villain. Using those shears, you are about to end the existence of something most dear. Are you not? Oh. And number two, the other conclusion I have drawn, you are, at this very moment no less, in the midst of committing a most grievous crime. Beneath that beard, your mouth quivers with nervous tension as you realize you have been discovered. Does it not? I had never thought I would witness one of Mr. Sholmes' great deductions with my own eyes. That was a great deduction. Nothing can deceive Mr. Sholmes. In a single glance, you can deduce all there is to know about a person. I've read about countless times the adventures of Sherlock Sholmes, and now I've experienced the astonishing impact of that great deduction firsthand. This is like a dream come true. All the colors drained from Mr. Roylott's face. It looks like somehow both of Mr. Sholmes' conclusions were right. How could I possibly know such things, you wish to say? Very well then, I shall elucidate. I shall explain how it is I arrived at this pair of conclusions. So do I coordinate my idea on a journey of logical discovery, rather than spoil the train of reasoning, the toxic reasoning train running down the tracks. The great deduction. The game is afoot. Topic 1. Old man's identity. So the dubious-looking Russian, Mr. Roylott, obviously what catches the eye in the first place. I'm gonna actually save there. And end the stream right there. Yeah, it's a bit early. I'm gonna be streaming Rivals later today, and also I'm tired. I'm very tired. I didn't get to stream until I didn't stream until now because I was so tired. But yeah, I'm gonna end the stream, and then tomorrow we'll continue Danganronpa. Thank you for watching. I'll see you later. Bye.